I wasn't supposed to be at her apartment that night, but something about Claire's voice on the phone didn't sit right with me. She said she was sick, her voice low and strained, like she could barely whisper. It didn't sound like her at all. Claire was always loud, dramatic, and attention-seeking. She could turn a minor headache into a 5-act tragedy. But that night she sounded hollow, empty, off. So I drove over. I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd let her lie in peace and keep the truth buried under all that glitter and silk and staged Instagram photos. But instead, I walked straight into a web of secrets that changed everything I thought I knew about my best friend. I parked outside her luxury apartment building in Westwood, the one with the glass facade, and the valet boys who never looked you in the eye unless you were wearing a Rolex or driving a Tesla. Claire always waved at them like they were her employees. She'd hand off the keys to her leased BMW like she owned the city. I still remember the first time she invited me here, last summer. I was stunned. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, imported furniture. She told me her dad was an investor, and her mom lived in Monaco. I believed her. She had the wardrobe to prove it. Chanel, Saint Laurent, Cartier. Who was I to question it? But that night, as I climbed up the back staircase because the front desk said she hadn't signed anyone in, I saw the peeling paint, the smell of mildew, the odd rattling from one of the walls. I wasn't in the building I thought I knew. I called her phone again. No answer. I got to the 3rd floor and walked down the hallway toward what she had always claimed was Unit 310. My stomach twisted when I realized something was wrong. The door to 310 had a paper sign taped over the nameplate. Package for delivery. Clara Winslow. Clara. Not Claire. Winslow. Not Montgomery. I stood there staring at it. Claire Montgomery, the rich girl from San Francisco whose father owned tech startups, didn't exist. Clara Winslow, whoever the hell she was, lived in a much smaller, dustier version of the life she pretended to have. I didn't knock. I pushed the door open. It wasn't locked. The moment I stepped in, my breath caught in my throat. The apartment was nothing like the photos she posted. There were no crystal chandeliers, no fur throws, no gold-framed mirrors. Instead, there was a mattress on the floor, clothes hanging from exposed pipes, and a single plastic chair by a cracked window. And in the middle of the mess sat Claire. Or should I say, Clara. She wasn't sick. She was crying. Silently. Shoulders shaking. Makeup streaked down her cheeks. She looked up and for a second, I saw the real her. No filter, no fakeness, no luxury. Just a girl in overwashed pajamas, surrounded by lies. It all started 6 months earlier. Back when I first met Claire in a boutique fitness class in Santa Monica. We were both sweaty, annoyed, and bonding over the instructor's obsession with squats. She complimented my Lululemon leggings. I complimented her diamond-studded Apple Watch. She said she was new to LA. I offered to show her around. That weekend, we were having brunch in Beverly Hills, and I was listening to her stories about traveling to Ibiza and skiing in Gstaad. I remember thinking, wow, she's so effortless, so sophisticated. I want to be like her. She made me feel cool just by association. We started spending all our time together, yoga, rooftop lunches, fashion week events. And every time I asked about something, like where she worked or how she managed to fly first class so often, she brushed it off with a vague answer and a laugh. Oh, my dad handles all that boring stuff. Oh, I just invest here and there. Oh, I hate talking about money. It's so tacky. I didn't push. Because deep down, I wanted to believe it. Because if she liked me, if someone as glamorous as Claire wanted me in her circle, then maybe I was important too. But now, standing in that dusty apartment, staring at the raw, crumbling version of her life, I realized how easily she had played me. How much of her world was a lie. Madison, she said hoarsely, wiping her face with the sleeve of a faded hoodie. What are you doing here? I opened my mouth, but I had no words. I looked around again. The knockoff handbags, the fast fashion labels carefully ripped to hide the brand. A pile of borrowed books with other people's names scribbled in the corners. Even her designer shoes, lined up against the wall, still had the price tags underneath. Probably returns. I came to check on you, I said quietly. You said you were sick. She looked down. I didn't expect you to come. Clearly. I took a step further in. It was hard to breathe in there. The air was thick with cheap perfume, incense, and shame. How long? I asked. She didn't answer. I repeated, this time louder. How long have you been lying to me? Clara, looked up at me again. Her mouth trembled. She looked like a child about to be punished. All of it? I asked. The apartment, the clothes, the flights? The parties you supposedly hosted at your place? She nodded barely. I felt my stomach twist. And why? My voice cracked. Why go through all this? Why pretend? She closed her eyes, then opened them slowly. Because no one listens to poor girls, Madison.
Her voice was cold now, heavy.
No one offers you a seat at the table when you say you're broke. They want polished, pretty, well-connected. They want rich. And I learned how to give them that. But me? I whispered. You lied to me too. She flinched. I didn't want to, she said. I just didn't know when to stop. In the weeks that followed, I tried to forget that night. I told myself maybe she had reasons. Maybe she was desperate. Maybe she just wanted to belong. But every time I opened Instagram and saw another fake photo, her sipping champagne in a hotel lobby she didn't stay at, wearing clothes she couldn't afford, I felt sick. She wasn't just lying to the world. She was building an empire on deception. And I had been her silent partner. Then one day, I saw her name pop up in someone else's story. She was speaking on a panel about financial independence, teaching other women how to manifest wealth. The caption said, Claire Montgomery, daughter of investor Brandon Montgomery, giving advice on luxury living. That was the moment something inside me snapped. She wasn't just pretending anymore. She was profiting from it. And I wasn't going to stay silent. I sat in my car outside the conference building for 10 minutes, just watching people walk inside. Women in heels, men in suits, all gathering for an event built on inspiration, truth, and, ironically, authentic success. And inside, on stage, was a woman who had lied about every part of her life. A woman who wasn't even using her real name. Claire Montgomery was about to deliver a keynote speech about building a luxury brand from the ground up. I clenched the steering wheel tighter. Every instinct told me to walk away. To let her live her lie, let her keep pretending, let her fake her way through another speech, another photo op, another sold-out digital course. But something inside me wouldn't let go. It wasn't just about me anymore. She was misleading hundreds of people, making money off illusions, selling hope based on a life she fabricated. And as someone who'd supported her, who defended her, this felt personal. So I grabbed my phone, took a deep breath, and walked inside. The room was filled with that artificial glow you only find at influencer panels. White backdrops, golden accents, neon signs that said things like, Boss Babe Energy, and Slay Then Pay. I found a seat near the back, but close enough to see the stage. And there she was.
Claire.
Wearing a silk pantsuit, probably borrowed. Hair perfectly curled, lips painted red like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She moved like she belonged. Like she was born for this. She smiled as the host read her introduction. Our next guest is a luxury lifestyle entrepreneur and financial mentor to thousands. From private jets to penthouses, Claire Montgomery has mastered the art of living richly and teaching others to do the same. The applause was thunderous. I felt my stomach twist. She started her talk with ease, confidence oozing from every word. She told them about her journey, how she started broke and scared, but reprogrammed her mindset for abundance. She talked about the Montgomery legacy and how her father taught her to invest in real estate before she turned 20. She even cried at one point, and the audience ate it up. They had no idea the tears were as fake as the Hermes bag she carried. After the talk, there was a VIP networking hour. Claire walked among them like royalty, posing for pictures, giving advice, handing out business cards with the logo of her fake company. I waited until she was alone, refilling her drink at the open bar. She turned and froze when she saw me. "Madison," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" I stepped closer, my voice calm, but my heart pounding. "Nice speech." Her jaw tensed. "Look, I can explain." "You already did," I said. "To the whole room." She glanced around nervously. "Please, not here." "I'm not here to make a scene," I said. "But you need to stop." "Stop what?" she whispered. "You don't understand." "No, you don't understand." I cut in. "People believe you. They trust you. And you're taking their money, Claire." "Clara," she muttered. "What?" "My real name is Clara Winslow." I took a slow breath. "Then be Clara. Or come clean. But don't keep selling lies." She looked away. Her hands were trembling. "You don't know what it's like. I've spent my whole life being invisible. I needed this." "Then find a better way." Her eyes welled up. "Madison, if you expose me, I'll lose everything." I stared at her for a long moment. "Then maybe you shouldn't have built everything on a lie." The next morning, I woke up to a message request from a girl named Tasha. "Hey, you don't know me, but I saw you talking to Claire last night. I bought her coaching package for $997 and never received anything." She blocked me. "You're the first person I've seen confront her. Can we talk?" My blood ran cold. This wasn't just pretending. This was fraud. And that was just the beginning. More messages came in, women who paid hundreds for ebooks that never arrived, courses that never launched, mentorships that led nowhere. They all had screenshots, receipts, email threads. It was a pattern. Claire wasn't just lying to fit in. She was running a scam. I spent the next 3 days gathering everything. Every piece of evidence. Every name. Every story. And the more I uncovered, the angrier I got.
How dare she?
How dare she take advantage of people trying to build better lives? Women who looked up to her. Who believed in her. Who wanted what she pretended to have. I knew what I had to do. I made a TikTok video. Not to go viral, but to tell the truth. I started with her photo. Then the screenshots. The real name. The address. The event clips. And most importantly, the testimonials from people she scammed. No hate. No threats. Just facts. I posted it and logged off. For the rest of the day, I stayed in bed, my heart racing every time my phone buzzed. By midnight, the video had over 600,000 views. By morning, it had 1.2 million. Her name was trending. Not Claire Montgomery, but Clara Winslow, the fake rich coach. Influencer drama channels picked it up. News outlets started reaching out. Some of her followers defended her, saying she was manifesting a better reality. Others demanded refunds. Lawsuits. Clara, deleted all her accounts within 48 hours. And then silence. But the story didn't end there. 1 week later, I got a knock at my door. It was Claire. No makeup. No designer outfit. Just jeans and a hoodie. "I know you hate me," she said. "But I needed to say thank you." "Thank me?" I said, confused. She nodded. "I've been living a lie for so long. I forgot who I even was. I hated myself every day. I just didn't know how to stop." She looked down. "You stopping me?" It forced me to face everything. I didn't say anything. She continued. "I started working at a cafe. Real job. First one in years. And it's the first time I've slept peacefully in months." I studied her for a long moment. There was no trace of the woman from the stage. Only Clara now. The real one. And weirdly, I didn't feel hate anymore. Just sadness. I thought the worst was over. After the video went viral and Claire disappeared, a strange calm settled over me. Like a storm had passed and left nothing but debris behind. Damaged trust, scattered illusions, and a strangely hollow kind of peace. But I should have known better. Truth doesn't always end things. Sometimes it only opens a deeper door. 3 weeks after our final conversation, I received an envelope. No return address. No stamp. It had been hand-delivered. Someone had walked up to my porch and slipped it through the slot. Inside was a single flash drive and a handwritten note. "You think you know the whole story. You don't. Play this." I stared at it for a long time. My hands trembled slightly as I plugged the drive into my laptop. The folder contained several video files. No labels.
Just dates.
And one file called, "Watch This First." My heart was pounding so loud it echoed in my ears. I clicked it. The screen flickered to life, and there she was.
Claire.
No, Clara. Sitting in a dimly lit room, her face pale and raw. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Madison, if you're seeing this, it means I finally decided to stop hiding. And before I explain anything, I need to tell you something you don't know." She paused, took a shaky breath. "I never wanted to lie.
I swear."
But I didn't just wake up one day and decide to fake a lifestyle. I was groomed into it. I leaned forward, confused and suddenly ice cold. When I was 19, I fell in love with a man who promised me the world. He said he'd teach me how to make money, how to create a personal brand, how to own the algorithm. His name was Ezra. He was 38. She bit her lip, visibly trying to stay composed. He built me. Literally. Taught me what to wear, how to speak, what to post. Everything I became, every lie I told, started with him. She glanced down at something off-screen. He ran multiple coaching brands under different names. I was one of his puppets. The others? Vanessa, Kenzie,
Zoe.
You've probably seen them on TikTok too. He scouted broken girls and turned us into boss babes. But he kept the money. All of it. I sat frozen, unable to breathe. This wasn't just about Claire anymore. It was a system. When I met you, Madison, I genuinely felt seen for the first time. You didn't know the persona. You just liked me. And that scared him. Ezra started watching you. He saw you as a threat. He told me if I didn't cut you off, he'd leak my real identity and ruin me. So I did what I always did, what I was trained to do. I lied. She started to cry. But you exposed me anyway, and I'm glad you did. Because that's how I found the strength to break away. These files, they're proof. Emails, videos, voice recordings. Ezra's real business. The women he hurt. You need to share them. Expose him. The screen went black. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up combing through every file. Recordings of strategy meetings with other influencers, call logs, scripts Ezra wrote for Clara and the others, even footage of him threatening one girl to keep her mouth shut, or else he'd bury her brand. Each piece more horrifying than the last. And the worst part? He was still active. Under a new name. Running a new 7-figure coaching academy from Miami. And guess who he just hired? A girl named Tasha. The same one who messaged me weeks ago, begging for answers after Claire ghosted her. She had no idea she'd escaped one monster, only to fall into the hands of another. I had no choice. I reached out to her. We met in a quiet cafe, and when I showed her the recordings, she went pale. "I knew something was off," she whispered, trembling. He kept asking me to say things I didn't believe. Told me to copy Claire's old posts, even her speech patterns. "Did he ever threaten you?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded. He said if I didn't perform, I'd lose the contract, and that I'd never work in this industry again. I felt sick.
"He's using you," I said.
"And I'm going to stop him." We uploaded everything. A 20-minute exposé. No sensationalism. Just raw, painful truth. It included Claire's confession, the receipts, the emails, the audio of Ezra laughing as he bragged about how easy it was to monetize desperation. The video exploded. It hit 1 million views in 24 hours. Within 3 days, 5 other women came forward with their stories. 2 had been blackmailed. 1 had attempted suicide. The police opened an investigation. TikTok banned all his brand accounts. Instagram, too. He tried to pivot on LinkedIn, but the internet doesn't forget. He was done. And for the first time in years, I felt powerful. Not because I went viral, but because I'd helped break a cycle of abuse masquerading as empowerment.
But something still haunted me.
I kept thinking about the last time Claire and I sat in my living room, months before this all began, eating ice cream and laughing at dumb reality shows. She told me she used to dream of becoming a therapist, that she loved helping people. That dream was buried under so many layers of lies. But maybe, just maybe, she could still find it again. 2 weeks later, she messaged me. "You were right about everything. I've started working with a real trauma counselor. I'm going back to school."
For psych.
And thank you for not letting these stay fake. I didn't reply right away. I just stared at the screen, overwhelmed, because I realized something. This whole time, I thought I was exposing a liar. But really, I'd uncovered a monster hiding behind her. And she was a victim, too. Maybe even the first one. You'd think that exposing a fraud would be the end of the story. But sometimes, when you drag a demon into the light, it doesn't disappear. It fights back. The exposé had gone viral, yes. But the aftermath wasn't clean. Ezra was smart. And for every account we got shut down, he created 2 more, under different names with new faces. New women. And worse, fake defenders pretending to debunk our claims. Suddenly, I was being called a liar. A bitter ex-friend. A clout chaser. A jealous nobody trying to ruin someone's career. The hate DMs poured in. "You should be ashamed. Jealousy looks bad on you. You ruined her life for views." It was like walking through a fire I thought I'd already survived. But I stayed quiet. For one reason. Because the real battle wasn't online anymore. It was in court. 2 weeks after the video blew up, I got a call from Clara. Not a message. Not an email. A real phone call. I hadn't heard her voice since the night everything fell apart. I almost didn't answer. But I did. "Madison?" Her voice was hoarse. Fragile. "I need to talk to you," she said. Face to face. There was a long pause. I knew I should say no. But something in her voice, it didn't sound like the Clara I knew. It sounded like the real her. We agreed to meet at an old park we used to walk through when life was simple, before she wore designer belts and I knew the word brand coach. When I saw her again, she looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. Her usual gloss was gone. No lashes, no filters. Just a girl in an oversized sweater, holding a folder close to her chest. "I'm sorry," she said, "for everything, but especially for dragging you into this." "You didn't drag me," I replied.
He did. She nodded slowly.
"I thought I could handle him. I thought I owed him." Then she opened the folder. Inside were more documents. Contracts. Signed NDAs. A copy of her old driver's license, Clara Jenks, and bank statements showing every dollar she didn't get. "I'm ready to testify," she said. "But I'm scared." "I'll be there," I told her. Every step. The court date was set for early June. It wasn't a criminal trial, yet, but a civil lawsuit. Enough to drag Ezra into the spotlight where he couldn't hide behind brands and burner accounts. The morning of the hearing, my stomach was a knot of barbed wire. I wore a black dress. Not out of mourning, but as armor. Clara arrived with her lawyer, pale but composed. When Ezra walked in, I felt something inside me turn to ice. He was charming. Too charming. Smiling like this was a red carpet event. Wearing a tailored suit. Winking at the cameras. He even tried to approach me. "Madison, isn't it? You've caused quite a stir." I stepped back. My voice low and even. "Stay away from me," he laughed. "Relax. It's just business. Nothing personal." I could have screamed. But I didn't. Because I knew something he didn't. This time we had the power. Inside the courtroom, it was like watching a house of cards collapse. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. Clara took the stand. Her hands shook, but her voice was strong. She told them everything. The manipulation. The grooming. The branding. The fear. She even played audio of Ezra mocking her behind her back, calling her a dumb little actress with daddy issues. And then it was my turn. I wasn't supposed to testify, but Clara's lawyer requested a statement. A personal account of the damage done, not just to Clara, but to others. I told them about Tasha, about the mental health toll, about how easy it is to mistake performance for confidence, and how dangerous it is when someone profits off your insecurity. Ezra's lawyer tried to twist it, accused me of defamation, tried to suggest I had ulterior motives. But every time they pushed, I pushed back. Calmly, firmly, truthfully, because I had nothing to hide. And for once, he couldn't say the same. After 3 hours, the judge granted a protective injunction against Ezra and approved the release of Clara's contracts to regulatory review. It wasn't jail, but it was a beginning, an unmasking. And to the women still under his control, it was a flare in the dark, a signal you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you can fight back. As we left the courthouse, Clara turned to me. Her eyes were glassy, but hopeful. "Do you think I'll ever feel normal again?" she asked. I took her hand.
No.
"You won't feel normal," I said. "You'll feel free." And freedom, real, raw, untidy freedom, was so much better. The dust settled, but silence isn't the same as peace. You don't go through something like that and walk away untouched. The truth, once out, doesn't heal instantly. It lingers, cuts deeper before it closes. After the hearing, I expected relief. But what I felt was emptiness. Not regret, not fear. Just this strange, hollow echo, like my soul had been stretched thin over weeks of battle and now didn't know how to return to normal. My phone barely rang anymore. The hate messages slowed. But so did the support. That's how viral stories go. Hot one moment, forgotten the next. And I was okay with that. Because this wasn't about staying relevant. This was about being real. Clara, moved out of her penthouse. She sold off her remaining designer bags, deleted her old Instagram, and started using her real name again. The healing wasn't linear. There were days she texted me at 2 a.m., asking if she made a mistake. If she'd ever be forgiven. By who? I'd ask her. The internet? Or yourself? That always made her pause. Forgiveness, I realized, wasn't a one-time gift. It was something you had to offer again and again, especially to the parts of yourself you wish didn't exist. As for me, I went back to working my steady job at the library downtown. I started writing again, really writing. Not for clicks. Not to expose. Just to express. And slowly, the hollow feeling faded. My voice returned. Not as a warrior, but as a woman who survived. One night, I was shelving a stack of biographies when I found a small handwritten note tucked between 2 books. It wasn't addressed to anyone. "You changed more than a story. You changed a cycle. Thank you." There was no name, no signature, but I knew who it was from. Clara had started volunteering at a nearby shelter for women escaping exploitative relationships. She was taking psychology classes at night, working part-time as a barista, and living in a shared apartment with 2 roommates who didn't care how many followers she had. She told me once that those 3 strangers gave her more peace than thousands of fans ever did. The internet had mostly moved on. Ezra tried to make a comeback under a new alias, Elias, this time, but the receipts followed him. He couldn't scrub the exposé. And every time he popped up, someone would drop the link in the comments. He was like a ghost now, present but powerless. But even ghosts can haunt you. One evening, I got a notification. A burner account had tagged me in a video. It was a clip of me from the hearing. A small moment when I glanced at Ezra with this quiet defiance in my eyes. The caption said, "You think this is over? Just wait." It didn't have many views, but it chilled me to my core, because it meant one thing. He was still watching. I didn't report it. I didn't respond. I didn't feed it, because that's what predators want, attention, a reaction, a new string to pull. Instead, I blocked the account and changed my privacy settings. And then I did something I hadn't done in months. I logged off. I took a walk. I breathed. And for once, the silence felt sacred, not empty. A few weeks later, Clara invited me to her small group graduation from her trauma recovery program. She stood at the front of the room, surrounded by women who looked nothing alike but all carried the same weary strength in their eyes. She told her story again, but this time not through tears. This time through power. When she finished, the room stood in applause. And I realized something. The woman who once pretended to be rich had finally become whole. That night, she pulled me aside. "I'm scared it'll happen again," she said. "That I'll fall back into it. The lies.
The spotlight.
The attention." I held her hand. "It might," I said honestly. "But this time, you'll know how to walk away." She smiled. "Because of you." It was a soft ending. No fireworks. No dramatic fade to black. Just two women, once broken by illusion, sitting in the truth. And in that stillness, something shifted. We weren't victims anymore. We weren't even just survivors. We were witnesses. To each other's realness. To the beauty of being seen as we are, not as we pretend to be. But just when I thought the story had closed, another letter arrived. No return address. No stamp. Just one sentence inside. She wasn't the only one I made. I stared at it, heart pounding. And this time, I didn't feel fear. I felt ready. Because now, I knew how to fight. And I wasn't alone.